All right, let's bring in the National Secretary of the Nigeria Electricity Consumer Advocacy Network, Uket Obonga. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.
You were just saying Mokomo and, just saying Ideme. Back to you. So, well, the power sector, the power minister has been given, his stewardship in the last 2 or so years. And he says that 40% improvement has been recorded in generation capacity since this government, came on board. But as a consumer, would you say that, Nigerians are actually feeling the impact of this improved generation that the minister talks about?
Well, thank you. The minister spoke like a politician. Politicians speak to make themselves look good. If there is 40% improvement in the power sector, it is not here in Abuja and in our offices that it will be felt. It will be felt out there by electricity consumers. And besides, if we are talking of electricity, it is a measurable quantity. We deal with data.
Right.
Data, right? Now, according to the World Bank report and other reports, we still have that unenviable maintain the unenviable record of a country globally that has the highest number of people who have no access to electricity. There are two things: not having access to electricity, and now you have another high percentage, up to 60% of what he's talking about, they are underserved and not having access. So how do you measure? How is he measuring this performance of 40%? You've just heard from what somebody said here in Nasarawa, that the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, they are generating more than what TCN can quill to consumers.
Yes.
So how do we balance that?
I guess that's a question that still has to arise.
Yes.
How do we balance it in a way that you don't have wastage and the whole electricity value chain can actually perform optimally? So the government is targeting 8,000 megawatts by the end of this administration's tenure in 2027. How impressive is that for you?
Well, it is good to set milestones. And the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is right in that track, But there is one thing setting these milestones, and there is another thing putting a mechanism in place to achieve it. Before this time, the minister had told us that, in fact, it was 2024. At the end of 2024, the target was 6,000 megawatts of lead. It was not met. We have been setting, targets. For instance, metering. When meter asset providers program came on board,
the map.
We did what? We set 3 million meters to close the metering gap. But what happened? Eventually, after 3 years, we could only make 600,000.
Why do you think government has not been able to meet these targets? Whether it's the ones you've just talked about, the metering gap, closing the 3 million metering gap, and of course meeting the 6,000 megawatts, but now it's targeting 8,000. Why haven't we been able to achieve this? What are the impediments?
Simply put, there is no transparency and accountability in the sector. If we want the electricity sector or power sector to make significant improvements, then we should be ready to tell ourselves the truth, and the managers and the operators, the regulators in the governance ecosystem must be ready to tell Nigerians the truth.
Well, what truth are you talking about? I don't want you to, just don't be the consumer advocate. As in, look at this dispassionately. Are you saying there hasn't been any improvement whatsoever, since this administration came on board, as far as the power sector is concerned?
I was in the ministerial briefing.
Right.
And I asked certain questions there.
Great.
The minister informed Nigerians that within the distribution network, there have been no investment. He says so. And he said that he alluded to the fact that generation has ramped up. And we are aware looking at the records and data, between 2013 and now, what the GENCOs have been able to put in place. But investment is lacking in the distribution end. They now come to between the GENCOs and DISCOs. You have the Transmission Company of Nigeria, yes, which is 100% owned by the federal government and manned by government appointees. Now, to run a transmission network in a national grid like that of Nigeria, you need investments. And the federal government, through appropriation, budgetary allocations, cannot and has not been able to fund that sector appropriately so that you have efficient delivery.
From your findings,
yes,
so far, are you able to pin it down in terms of the reasons why investments are not coming in, whether it's local investment or even foreign investment?
Even the former TCN, Dr. Usman Mohammed, something like that, he was on national television where he said he left behind 400 billion in the accounts.
Naira.
So 400 billion naira in the accounts of TCN when he left. But today, TCN is indebted to contractors to the tune of about that amount of money. So nobody has really bothered to conduct forensic audits on what is going on there in TCN. We hear a lot of things that on hushed tones going on in that area. Today we are talking of the Siemens project. You recall when the German Chancellor Angela Merkel visited in 2017 or 20,
yes,
made a grant of $2.5 billion to the federal government. And we insisted that this money should be, used principally on 3 areas: generation, transmission, and distribution.
Yes. And
we made it very clear to anyone who bothers to, pay attention to what we're saying, that this money, this grant should not be given in cash to Nigerians, but through equipment. Because we feared, and we stated it very clearly, that if this money is given in cash, you have emergency companies rising up. Every person wants to have a pie.
So what's the way forward? Because we have to wrap, unfortunately.
Yeah,
there are suggestions that the TCN, which you say is fully in the hands of the government, should be, decentralized.
The TCN should be commercialized.
Has been said about the national grid system, that it should be unbundled. Speak to that.
The national grid system should be unbundled. We have advocated, we have said this in various fora. TCN itself should be decentralized, and at least, like the minister mentioned something about at the regional level, each region should have its grid and a transmission company or organization to run it. For now, it has proven that we are not ready. We don't have the capacity to run this vast national grid across the country. So there should be decentralization of both the grid and just like what they did with the National Nigerian Independent System Operator, who is now out of the control of TCN. So we should do a similar thing so that there will be improvement in the power sector.
I have to say thank you very much. Uket Obonga is National Secretary, Nigeria Electricity Consumer Advocacy Network. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.